Thank you, Chairman Raskin, and thank you to the first panel of students for sharing your stories and taking action. Across the country, scholars are calling out, rightfully so, how banning books on race and LGBTQ issues from our schools are impeding their education and their own personal development and growth. Republican book bans target literary classics like The Bluest Eye and Beloved by Toni Morrison, the first Black woman to win the Nobel Prize in Literature, because the novels discuss racism and slavery. But their focus is not only on works of fiction. In multiple states, Republicans have sought to prohibit students from reading nonfiction and historical recounts because the subject matter tells the truth about racial injustice in America. Ms. Bridges, you know this all too well. Your book, This Is Your Time, is on the list of books that Texas Republicans want removed from public schools. And the so-called Moms for Liberty group has launched a campaign in more than 30 states to have one of your children's books, Ruby Bridges Goes to School, banned because it makes students feel uncomfortable. Ms. Bridges, what do you say to the parents who do not want their children to hear your story or seek to exclude the truth of racism that you and your family experienced firsthand?
Well, as I said earlier, I believe that history is sacred and that none of us have the right to change or alter history in any way. I've been taught that we need to know our history to know where we're going. Thinking about everything that I've heard this morning, it seems to me that we have so many of these books of choice that the reason why is that our young people cannot find their stories and contributions, sacrifices to this country in the books that we do not have a choice in, and that is in our textbooks. So it would seem to me that these books of choice is even more crucial that we have them so that our young people in schools have a place to go to find their stories and their contributions to this country. I mean, at some point in time, we may be calling on these young people to serve and defend this country. And as my father felt back during the Korean War, I would think that this country would want to lift them up, let those citizens know that we are indeed proud of them because we celebrate their stories, their contributions. So I think that these books are proven to be even more crucial and shouldn't be banned.
Thank you, Ms. Bridges. And to your point about called on to be the future defenders, you know, in communities throughout the country, Black students of all ages continue to face white supremacist violence just for trying to access quality education. I mean, recent threats on our HBCUs are a stark example of this, in fact. So how do you think the removal of books like yours will affect this young generation of students who might not be aware of the struggle to fight segregation in America? How does it affect their sense of purpose, their agency?
Well, I have to, refer back to the thousands and thousands of kids who write me letters and saying how my story has actually helped them to stand up, to be brave. So I would have to refer to that. Yes, as mentioned earlier, the truth is hard to look at, but I do honestly believe that in the long run, the truth will set us free.
And thank you so much, Ms. Bridges. And these book bans are really no more than a malicious political campaign of erasure of civil rights, history, erasure of LGBTQ equality, erasure of all the hard-fought progress made that allows our babies the chance to learn in accepting and nurturing classrooms. But of course, this is not just about knowledge. I could argue that books save lives. I know it saved my own when I was a child in real time experiencing child abuse. And I picked up Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings from my school library. And it was the first time in the midst of all the shame and the fear that I was experiencing that I knew that I was not alone in the world. So yes, books expand minds and empower our young people in the place that they take in this world. But I think they save lives.
Absolutely.
Ms. Pressley, thank you for your wonderful questioning. We've come to the end of our